Hi, I'm James Morrison, and this is Trumpet Flicks.
Hi, this is Bruno Garcia, and you are watching Trumpet Flicks. We are here at the São Paulo International Airport, and I'm with the legend, the very famous James Morrison. It's a pleasure to have you here. And,
Thank you, Bruno.
And you are here in Brazil because your son just got married.
That's right.
Yeah.
He married a Brazilian. So
Yeah.
now my family is half Brazilian.
Yeah, okay. And is it your second time in Brazil?
No, I have been here more than that. The last time was in Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
But I first came to Brazil back in the mid-80s, 40 years ago,
Wow.
visiting in Rio with a friend of mine. So I've been a couple of times over the years,
Yeah.
but not often enough. I think now I have family here, I will be here more often.
Okay. So I have some trumpet questions for you because people love trumpet stuff. And first of all, when did you start on trumpet?
I started, brass, I started on the cornet. So similar, but not the
Yeah.
trumpet, when I was 7 years old. And I switched to the trumpet, a couple of years later. In the meantime, when I was 8, I took up the trombone also. But yeah, trumpet would have been about 9 years old, actual trumpet.
Okay, and in the beginning, how many hours did you practice per day? Did you have like a teacher? Or...
No, I didn't have a regular teacher. There was a teacher at school who ran the band and gave us tips. And I had some trombone lessons from a local minister in the church who played the trombone. But no, not really regular lessons. And I didn't do regular practice either, like a routine. I never had a routine. I did a lot of playing, is how I thought of it. I was just always wanting to play tunes, jam, play with other people, and just play a lot. So I don't know how many hours that was because it was not regular. It was just whenever I could.
So it was like maybe discovered by yourself
Yes.
how to play the trumpets.
Sure.
And how was your development? I mean, how long it took to develop your skills?
I'm laughing because you made me remember what my grandmother said to me. I grew up at my grandmother's house and I started playing the trumpet and she saw it and she said, well, that can't be very hard. It only has 3 buttons.
Yeah.
How hard can it be? But yeah, my development was all driven by the sound that I heard. And I would hear a record with Louis Armstrong on it, and then later with Dizzy Gillespie or someone, I would go, oh, I want to do that. So you just try and make that sound. And it's a discovery then on how to do it. And because I was focused on listening for how I wanted to sound, and then listening to how I sound, I wasn't thinking about how it's done. I was thinking about what I want. And I try and teach that now too when I'm teaching, that it's more important to focus on what do you want it to be like rather than how is it done. Because eventually you will not know how it's done anyway. If you are take someone like yourself, much experienced, great player. If I said to you, can you play me an A on the second space? Of course, anytime.
Yeah.
I go, okay. So does it require a certain lip tension and air pressure to produce that note? Yes. And if the air pressure is wrong, the lip tension is different, will you get a different note? Yeah. So you must know exactly. And if you play it louder, more air pressure, you have to change the lip tension. Yeah. Great. So tell me, how much lip tension for an A? You have no idea. Or how much air pressure? You don't know. And what I'm getting at is if you start trying to work out how to play the trumpet from the beginning, it's pointless. You will never know how. Why not just focus on what you want it to sound like? Because eventually, when you are a good player, it will be subconscious controlling the air pressure and the muscles. You don't even know how to make exactly the same muscles as last time, but your subconscious does. How do you get an A now? Mostly, in particular, let's take it up 1 octave. A on 1 ledger line. It's an easy note to miss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because B, you can get the same and G. So how do you get it? You must hear it first, right? So you're already then focusing on what do I want to hear and then trying to get that rather than going, I must have this much lip tension. Nobody thinks that when they play an A. If they do, they miss the A.
Yeah.
So because that is how a great player plays, why not start that way? That is how you're going to do it. Start the way it's always going to be. And it's almost like when we start thinking, how do I do this? You get a little way with that and then you have to forget it anyway. So I think it makes extra time and it's not helpful. So I think a teacher, of course, can have a great role and can really accelerate learning and help with a lot of things. But I don't think by saying this is how you do it. I think often when a teacher says that, that kind of gets said, but it's not really what's going on. The teacher is more directing a student to what it should be like, so you can follow that anyway. So I think it really accelerates things if the teacher recognizes that and says straight to the student, listen to this, now you do that, rather than, and here's how you do it. Never mind that, listen. And a teacher is a great example. And then of course you can watch, and if they're doing something really funny or strange or something, you can say, hang on, you need to, relax, or you need to breathe deep, or you need all the things you can help with. But I never start with, here's how it's done, because really I don't know.
And after the very first years, did you have any teacher or like a daily basis routine, or did you practice the regular books?
Now, I don't want to be a person who says I never had a teacher, because that would be to disrespect all of the people I learned so much from.
Yeah.
I never had a teacher like, oh, this is the person I see each Thursday for my lesson.
Yeah.
I had many teachers. Most of them didn't know they were teaching me. There were people that I would know and get with and watch them play and learn much, even though they didn't think they were giving a lesson, they were just playing. But I learned a lot from them, and I want to respect that. And then sometimes, I would ask questions and go, what are you doing there? What is that? Play that again. What is that? First time I heard someone do a shake, I went, what was that? Do that again. Like, and I went, how are you doing that? What's going on?
Got it.
And so they gave me a lesson, but they're not my regular teacher. And this worked best for me. And I also want to point out that I'm not recommending that is a good way to do it. It's just how it happened for me. I think for many people, to have a consistent teacher each week that they see that guides them is wonderful. It's just not the way I came up. And if you don't have a regular teacher, that's also fine. Do what I did. I don't think it matters the path. I think it matters the destination. And if you have this wonderful sound in mind, this feeling in mind of what you want the trumpet to sound like and feel like, then how you get there, regular teacher, not this kind of practice, that kind of practice, will be more personal. And will be who you know also. If someone is fortunate enough to know you and can have lessons with you, that will be the path they take, and that will be fantastic. If not, then they will find another path.
And how old were you when you did your first gig?
We have to define gig, but my first gig, 9. I put a quartet together.
Yep.
With my brother on drums and a tuba player and a clarinet. So trumpet, clarinet, tuba, and that was like a New Orleans style thing. And we played on the street, but it was a real gig. We were booked to play out the front of this place each Saturday morning to attract people for the shop.
And how about like a professional gig?
And then a professional gig, 13. I started playing in nightclubs with professional bands, so they were all much older than me. I just put my tuxedo on, carry my trumpet, so because the places I was going you had to be 18 to get in, but carrying a trumpet, wearing a tuxedo, no one said anything, and I was with the band, and so I started working nightclubs when I was 13.
Do you consider yourself a natural player?
Absolutely. If what you mean by natural is not formulaic, not some method, I don't have a method, and I have plenty of things to say on playing and breathing and all sorts of things that I can offer for help, but I don't think it's a method, and I certainly didn't learn that way. It's just naturally whatever worked for me. All of the things I can tell you about how I play the trumpet now were things that I worked out after I could already do it. I thought, how is this working? I will reverse engineer and see what am I doing naturally so that I can explain it to someone else if they ask. And it was all about teaching. If I didn't need to teach anyone, I never would have worked out what I'm doing. I just do it.
Okay. And do you practice the trumpet and the trombone every day yet?
No, I never have.
Never?
Like I said, I always played every day and played as much as I could as a kid, but I make the distinction between practice and playing because they're a different mindset. When you practice, you're aware that you're getting ready to do something. Like, I will do this work so that then I can play music. It's a very set thing. I never liked that feeling. I like the feeling, if I'm going to play, I will play now. I will listen to it now. I want to feel something now.
Yeah.
I don't like getting ready for anything. Ask my wife. Like when we're doing anything, she goes, could you just prepare? And I go, no, let's just do it.
Yep.
I do this with music too. And so I do sometimes practice. It's funny you're talking to me today. I practiced yesterday, which is very rare. But I have some music that's quite complicated that someone has sent me that I have to play in Washington tomorrow. and I don't know this music, it's original compositions of theirs, so I need to look at it and learn it and memorize it. So that requires practice. But even then, I just practice it for a few minutes, and then for the next hour, I play it. I'm like playing it, you know, it's a different feeling. I only practice when absolutely necessary. I think it's not a good idea to practice too much, because I think it's a good idea to play as much as you can. And the reason is, and I say this often in a workshop, practice works on the mechanism about humans. If you do something many times, you become skilled. There's an old saying, repetition is the mother of skill, right?
Yeah.
So if I want to be able to catch this with one hand, which I can't, I'm hopeless, I do it many times, drop it, and eventually I can do it. So whatever you do a lot, you get good at. Simple. What do you get good at if you practice a lot? You get good at practicing,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
If you play a lot, you get good at playing. We want to be good players, not good practices. So that's why I play as much as I can and practice as little as I can. But yeah, I admit though, sometimes it's necessary to stop playing, to change the mindset and go, I'm not actually doing this for real now, I'm just checking it out. But I don't like that feeling. It's like, okay, I have to do some work for a few minutes here.
Okay.
I prefer to play.
And over the years, in any point of your career, did you have any chop issues or something that you struggled for?
I had one chop issue. You're going to laugh. I ate a pizza when it was too hot.
Yep.
And the cheese burnt my lip. And for 2 weeks, it was really hard to play with a burnt lip. Other than that, no. The reason I don't have chop issues is not because I have any special chops or anything like that. It's simply the mindset. Because right from the beginning, I heard the trumpet and went, oh, that's why I play it. Because I went, oh, that feels great. I want to do that. Then I'm always focused on that side of it. And you don't kind of think, how am I doing that? It's like anybody who can ride a bicycle. Yeah, there are lots of things you're doing that require skill and knowledge, but you're not thinking about them. You go, I want to go over there. And so you just start going. If someone said, what are you doing? You go, oh, well, I push one pedal and I lift the other foot up. And I must steer this way or that way to balance. And you could tell them. But imagine trying to ride a bike if you thought all that while you're doing it.
Yeah.
It would be crazy. You just go, I want to go there. That's all I have to think. It's the same for me playing. So because of that, you don't really generate chop issues. And if I'm like any other human, sometimes you're a bit tired. Some days it doesn't feel as good as others. But if you're focused on what you want it to sound like, that's kind of a side issue. I think one of the big errors, and I'm reluctant to say something is an error about another player because everyone has their way of doing it. And there are many great players who do it very differently to me, so I respect that. But I am prepared to say I think this is an error if anybody does it. And this is when you start feeling anything that's not quite how you want it, let's say a chop issue, you then focus on it. Because that's a human thing, that's not a trumpet thing. Anything in life that we focus on, we make it bigger, we make it more important, we direct our attention to it, and it starts to become more and more real. So if I have a bit of a funny feeling in my chops, like anybody else can, if I go, oh, I have a chop issue, now I do.
Yep.
But if I go, whatever, I'm not that interested in that, I'm listening to the sound or the feel of the music,
yeah,
or what the guitar is doing now, oh, I could do this, and then it kind of goes away. Or even if it stays for the whole gig, you just deal with it, you know, make compensation for it if necessary, but not one that you're thinking about, you know. And I guess that's why I never feel like I have a chop issue. It's not that I have steel chops, it's that I'm just not really that interested in the chops. I'm interested in the music, and the chops have their rightful place, which is they're necessary, but they are subservient to the music. They're never the most important thing. The moment your chops become the most important thing that is happening right now, that means music isn't. Then why are you playing?
Yep. And how do you move from the trumpet to the trombone and back and forth? Do you feel the difference?
So the answer, fortunately, for the podcast is exactly the same. Because I'm thinking about the sound, the feel.
It's more about the music.
Yeah, it's about the music. So the change is whatever. I have to say, I can give you one technical answer that I'm aware of, is that trumpeters have a trumpet embouchure. They develop a trumpet embouchure trombonists develop a trombone embouchure.
Yep.
I don't have a trumpet embouchure or a trombone embouchure. I have a flexible embouchure. It never settles completely anywhere because I change so often, and so it's flexible. I can feel it. And I've watched people play the trumpet who just play the trumpet, and I see and I go, that looks a little different than when I play it. I can tell they really have a trumpet embouchure, just why they can't play the trombone, of course, and vice versa. So the only thing I can do, and I have done it, where it can start to be, oh, that's making it really hard, is if I play one instrument for too long and not the other one. If I play trumpet for 3 gigs just because that's what's called for, I'm guesting with an orchestra or something and there's no trombone, it starts to turn into a trumpet embouchure. And that's a problem. Same with the trombone. So all I have to do is make sure I keep changing, and then the change is easy.
Got it. And now you live in, of course, in Australia, because we are from Australia, but did you live in any other cities in the world?
I lived in New York back in the 1980s for a while, breaking into the scene there, getting to know people, expanding my musical horizons. And other than that, I spend a lot of time every year anyway. I mean, I live in Australia, but what does that really mean? When I spend so many months for so many years touring around Europe and other parts of the world. So, yeah, I really feel like although I reside in Australia, I really kind of live in the world.
Yep. And how do you deal with all the traveling and to be in shape, to play?
Well, I like to just stop and do podcasts in the airport as often as I can.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've done this ever in my whole career. That's unusual. But no, look, again, I'm sorry, it's the same answer.
Yeah.
You're tired, you're jet lagged, you don't know where you are. So what? Then the music starts. You get inspired, and it's exactly the same as if you were at home or in Europe or in America or what time it is. Doesn't matter anymore. The music matters. Whenever I'm playing music, making music, I like to say, that has to be the most important thing. In which case, all the other things that could exist, chop problems, jet lag, traveling, tired, anything, can exist, but they have to be underneath the music, which means the music is always the driving thing, which means that's, in answer to your question, how do you deal with it? Like that, you don't. It's not allowed to become something that you deal with. You deal with it when the gig is over. Yeah. When I fly into Europe for a 26-hour flight from Australia via the Middle East and via somewhere, and then get to rehearsal, do a rehearsal with a big band, and then go straight into the gig and do the gig. When that gig finishes, and I've been going for 36 hours, then I deal with it. Then I go, I'm dead, And that's hard because sometimes you've arrived, you meet friends you haven't seen for a while, you do the gig and they want to hang out, and I have to say, I can't. I have to go and collapse. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, and just to finish, what do you recommend for the younger, the students and the amateurs that they are practicing the trumpet? What do you recommend for them to do?
I think I've got to say the same answer again. I recommend that they always remember why they play, not how they play or what they're going to play. Yes, those exist, but the main thing is why you are playing right now. How do you want it to feel? And if you always focus on that, that will guide you through the chop problems, through the whatever other issues. That doesn't mean that they don't exist, but it means you're guided by, I know where I'm going and why. And so I will find a way. And that's, I think, the most important thing. And also it makes it always full of passion.
Yep.
There's nothing worse than someone who then starts thinking about the chop problem and how to play this and practicing and starts to feel like this is a lot of work. I understand that there is work to be done and we must be dedicated to our craft, but it's not for work. It's not for that. That's just one of the things that facilitates it. It's for something about inspiration, and we focus on that.
Okay, and an extra and the most important question.
Okay.
Okay, what mouthpiece do you play? What size?
This wouldn't be a trumpet thing if you didn't ask that. I love it. I play a Shargle, like my trumpet, a Shargle Approdato, and it's the James Morrison model. So when you say what size is it, it's the James Morrison size. It is closely related to a 14B4, but it has a bigger back bore because it started life as a 14B4 and then we experimented and took the back bore out, maybe some other subtle changes, but that's what it's closest to. I know this because if I don't have a mouthpiece, if I can get a 14B4, it's the closest feeling to the same. It just feels a little restricted. I want to put a drill through it to just bring it out a little bit, and then it feels right.
So it's pretty similar to like a 3C with some changes.
Yeah, 3C with some changes.
And do you use that for everything?
Everything. The main thing is that the back bore is not too small. I don't like too much back pressure, too much restriction. I like to put a lot of air through the horn. So I use that for everything. I don't change mouthpieces. And if you think about it, because I understand trumpeters having different mouthpieces, different horns for different style of music, but you can imagine someone who plays trumpet and trombone and saxophone and tuba to change trumpet mouthpieces.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make any difference.
Yeah.
So why do I actually play the mouthpiece I do? Why not any trumpet mouthpiece? Because it's the most comfortable in that size. It's about the rim shape and size. It feels comfortable for my teeth and my, that's the main thing. It's comfort. But yeah, I wouldn't change to get a different sound or to play a different style. The change to a different sound or style comes from imagining that sound or style.
Okay, James. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Great to talk to you.
And I hope to see you in Brazil very soon.
You bet.